Hare Krishna, Dandavad Pranam. My name is Shamarani Dasi, and I've been appointed by the Bhakti Art team to describe the secrets, some of the secrets, in my painting called Kunj Kirtan. I say it's my painting just for colloquial language, but it's not really my painting. It's the heart of our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. He gave a lecture on the third verse of Vilapa Kusmanjali, where Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is praying, "O Rati Manjari, you are the most fortunate gopi in this town of Braj, because it's you who Srimati Radhika very stealthily requested to get her golden waist belt, which is beloved by Krishna, from the secluded Kunj where you spent the night." Now, Raghunath Das Goswami is Rati Manjari in the spiritual world. So how is it that he's writing a prayer, "O Rati Manjari"? What's happening is, just as in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, although all the verses are by Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, there's one verse he's quoting his own guru, Srila Rupa Goswami, who's saying, "Anarpita Tiring Sharat Karunayavatir Nam Kalo." That is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this material world after an entire day of Brahma, that is, after a long, long time, trillions and trillions of years. Why? To give what no other incarnation ever gave, or any acharya ever gave. That brilliant, ecstatic, amorous love of Radha and Krishna, and the service to them of Radharani's maidservants. So why did he quote a verse from his Guru Maharaj in the middle of his book? The reason is that he was thinking, if I give a verse from my Gurudev, blessing the audience, because the last line of that verse is, "May he," that's Sachinandan Gaura Hari, "may he be ever splendorous and manifest in your heart." So he was thinking that if I give a blessing, if my Guru gives a blessing, then it will have more effect. So similarly, in Vilapa Kusmanjali, verse 3, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is giving a verse from his own Gurudev, that is Rupa Goswami, who's saying, "O Rati Manjari, you are the most," but this is Rupa Goswami in the mood of Raghunath Das Goswami, in the mood of Rupa Manjari. And he's saying to Rati Manjari, "O Rati Manjari, you're the most fortunate gopi in this town of Braj, because it's you who Srimati Radhika told very stealthily to go and get her golden mekhala, her pranaya mekhala, the golden waist belt that Krishna loves so much, and which is the link between them. She asked you to get it in the Kunj where they spent the night." So what does that mean? It means that Rupa Goswami is giving a blessing to Raghunath Das Goswami, who wrote this prayer. "O Raghunath Das Goswami, you can write, and whatever you write, it will be successful." So that's one of the secrets in this Kunj Kirtan painting. Then let's see who's there. Well, what's the story anyway? Krishna and Radha were in the Kunj, performing their amorous pastimes throughout the night. And then, in the Nishanta Lila, at the end of night, Radharani has an idea. She wants to make a program for the pleasure of Krishna. So she left Krishna in the Kunj, alone with some manjaris, her maidservants, who she considers as extensions of her own body. And she came out into this courtyard, behind all these wreaths of flowers is their kunja. She came out into the courtyard and began to organize a Sankirtan party with her Sakis. I think most of you know what Sankirtan is, seeing it in public arenas in this world, which descended by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who began the Sankirtan mission in this modern age. But where does it first come from? It first comes from Srimati Radhika, who is the intrinsic power of Krishna, the desire potency of Krishna, the most beloved of Krishna, the Swarup Shakti, or the complete, all-accommodating energy of Krishna. So she organized the very first Sankirtan of singing, dancing, playing musical instruments. And so when Krishna came out, the gopis sat him at Radharani's lotus feet, which is the best place that he likes to be. This is the highest feature of the Lord. And all the gopis began singing and dancing. Then Srimati Radhika became tired. So she sat down. And when she sat down, she noticed that her belt was missing. So with her eyes, not with her voice, but with her eyes, because in that realm, Goloka Vrindavan, you can tell books worth of divine information just with the eyes. So with her eyes, she told Rati Manjari, "Oh, Rati Manjari, I left my belt that Krishna loves so much in the kunja. Please go and get it immediately. Otherwise, if my Sakis see that I'm not wearing my belt, they will surely make fun of me and joke with me. Oh, I know where you left your belt." So Rati Manjari immediately stood up and said, "I'm just going to get some flowers. I'll be right back." Now, this was not the truth, was it? But in the spiritual world, just like you have a tree, and the reflection of the tree that's on the shore is reflected in the muddy river, where the branches are up, the roots are up, and the branches are down. Whereas in the real tree, the roots are down and the branches are up. So what's lowly in this world comes from the most pristine phenomena in the spiritual world. So she said, just like Krishna is famous as Makhan Chor, the butter thief, his thievery is glorious. So Rati Manjari stood up and said, "So I'm going to get some flowers, I'll be right back." She went into the kunja, got the golden waist belt, and now, while everyone is still singing and dancing, she's very stealthily putting it on. If you look very carefully, you can see that there's a bluish string in Rati Manjari's hands, because she's just completing her tying of the bow that binds Radharani's waist belt. And then they all began singing, and she stood up and began singing and dancing again with the gopis for Krishna's pleasure. So who is in this painting? The 8 principal gopis, the chief assistants in Srimati Radhika and Krishna's pastimes. they are the expansions of the highest ras, or the highest mellow taste of relationship with Krishna. And they expand the pastimes, nourish the pastimes, broadcast the pastimes. So this is Chitra, this is Tungavidya, Lalita, Rupa Manjari, Sudevi, Ranga Devi, Rati Manjari, Vishaka, Champakalata, and Induleka. And the other two represent our whole Guru Varga, our whole disciplic succession of self-realized Gaudiya Vaishnava Gurus in our Rupanuga Guru Varga, or the disciplic succession coming from Srila Rupa Goswami through Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada. So, to worship the Kunj Kirtan painting is also the worship of our Guru Parampara, our disciplic succession of gurus who, although in their form as beautiful, young, teenage cowherd maidens, take the form of big acharyas or spiritual masters in this material world and teach and write books and show a perfectly exemplary conduct and behavior for the elevation of all mankind, humankind. And they write books. These very maidservants, manjaris, and gopis come to the material world and write poems, prayers, siddhanta, philosophical conclusions, which drive away the ignorance. They all present the knowledge which is distinguished from the illusion for the welfare of all. And this truth uproots the threefold miseries. Simply by hearing, reading these truths, one becomes attached to the Supreme Lord and captures Him within the heart. So, what are the services of these gopis? For example, Lalita, she is the original expansion of Radha and the chief assistant. She comes to this material world with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and is also with him in Svetadweep in the spiritual world as Swarup Damodar Goswami, his chief attendant. So her main services is magic, defeating the competitive party of gopis in cunning words, in making flower ornaments, all varieties of flower ornaments, parasols, which are like umbrellas, beds. She constructs secluded kunjas and palaces made of creepers and trees and flowers. And she's in charge of many groups of gopis. All of these 8 gopis are in charge of other groups of gopis who, for example, take care of the flowering vines, take care of the animals, play mridanga and other instruments, play the veena, the lute. For example, Tungavidya is in charge of the gopis who play mridanga. And Vishaka, she sings much more beautifully than the cuckoo bird. So devotees pray to her to teach them Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, in his prayers, that is Rati Manjari in his sadhak form, or his form as a devotee practitioner in this world, prays to Vishaka that you sing more beautifully than a cuckoo. Please teach me how to sing in Radha and Krishna's Rasa Leela, and playing, request Radharani to teach me the veena so that I can sing beautiful kirtans in her glorification. And teach me the art of prem seva. Like if Krishna approaches, no. So, in this way, the 8 gopis have varieties of services. Another one of them, like Champakalata, she's very famous as Misti Hasta, or sweet hands. She's very expert in making sweets of different shapes, like in the shape of lotus flowers, for example. And our acharyas pray to her, teach me the art of cooking so that I can assist when Radha and Krishna have their noon meals. Another one of them, or a few of them, know so many languages, including the language of various animals, and converse with those animals. In Srila Viswanath Chakrabarti Thakur, I forgot to mention one thing regarding our original story. So none of the gopis knew what was happening when Radhika told Rati Manjari to get the waist belt. When she brought it back, when she put it on, nobody knew what was happening except for one person, and that is Rupa Manjari. Why? Because she knows every single movement of the eyes of Radharani and what she's saying with her eye language. And then what are the services, what are the various services of the Manjaris that are going on? Well, they lie to Radharani's mother-in-law, and sometimes they'll, about where they're taking Radharani, or they may massage the legs of Radharani's mother-in-law and put her very happily to sleep so that Radharani can go out for this nighttime tryst with Sri Krishna. They make all kinds of arrangements. They dress Radharani, they ornament her, they assist the other gopis in bathing her, in putting on various unguents like the black musk and the kumkum and musk and saffron designs, which Krishna loves to put on himself. There are so many pastimes of that. And what are the parrots' services? The parrots, they get to hear everything because they're always in the kunj. So sometimes after a pastime, they'll go and share with the other gopis what just happened. They share the pastimes. And this particular parrot, that is Sukha. Sukha becomes Sukadeva Goswami in this material world and speaks the Srimad Bhagavatam, the essence of all Vedic literatures, to Maharaj Parikshit. The other birds, they sing very beautifully and they discuss with each other. Sometimes the male birds and the female parrots have a competitional fight, a competitional discussion. The male birds will say how Krishna is better and try to prove it, and the female birds will say how Radharani is better and try to prove it. And then they come to a compromise that both together they're perfection. Or they might wake up Radharani and Krishna in the morning, that what are you doing? The sun is about to rise. And now all the elderly gopis and gopas will be coming out, and they'll see that you're missing from your house. Better hurry now. And what are the peacocks doing? What are the peacocks doing? Hari Priya? The peacocks dance, being very inspired by Krishna's flute playing, which sounds just like thunder to them. And when the peacocks hear thunder, they begin madly dancing and showing off their tail feathers in lovely ways. And then that inspires Krishna to play his flute more, and dancing, flute, dancing, flute. And then the peacocks want to give some offering to Krishna. They think, what do we have? Well, we have our beautiful feather. So they drop a feather on the ground, and Krishna picks it up and puts it on his head to show that I'm so pleased with your offering that I'm wearing your offering on the highest part of my body. So the ankle bells, you can see just a couple of ankle bells of Radharani and the Gopis, and they make a jingling sound during their dancing. And the ragas and raganis, or original ancient melodies and rhythms, were copied by Narada Muni, who played his veena and chants Hare Krishna. So he gets his original melodies, and all Odissi dancers, there's so much message in Odissi dancing, that all comes from the original gopis. Dance comes from them. So one more interesting thing is the trees. When the trees hear Krishna's flute, they become so happy that their son, the flute, gets to play on the lips of Krishna. And Krishna holds that flute lovingly in his hands. So the trees weep in pride of their son. They weep honey in the form of sap. And the rivers become so happy because the bamboo is born on the river. They also become like whirlwinds, or flow backwards, or just stop moving. And they take their hands, their waves, and offer lotus flowers to Krishna. Just one more thing, because time is short. In that realm, there's no existence of future or past, only the eternal present. And because no one wastes even half of a moment, that's why everything is existing in the ever unfolding, ever new and fresh present, where the goddesses of fortune, Lord Brahma says, I worship that transcendental land where the unlimited goddesses of fortune, in their unalloyed spiritual forms of amorous love, accept Krishna as their only lover. I want to get into the trees before I close. The trees here in this realm, in this courtyard, some of the trees are made of crystal, and their vines that wrap around them are made of rubies. And the fruits and flowers are made of sapphire and emeralds. And other trees are made of emeralds with lapis lazuli vines and sapphire fruits and emerald flowers. Why does it say that? Does that mean that all the fruits are like hard and all the flowers are hard? Not at all. It means that everything is natural, soft, and fragrant, but it's much more than the jewels even of Vaikuntha. And the jewels of Vaikuntha, they don't have any fragrance. But all these jewels, when it says golden, mixed with emeralds and rubies, that means golden flowers. and all the gopis personally hand make very intricate ornaments for Radha and Krishna. In some places, this ground is made of saffron dust. In some places, the ground is made of emerald dust. In some places, the ground is made of musk dust. And when the bulls eat the grass, and half eat the grass, it adds to the aroma. And when the monkeys bite the grapes and leave half of the grapes strewn on the grasses, that increases the aroma. Everything increases unlimitedly in that ecstatic realm called Goloka Vrindavan. So these are just a few of the secrets of Kunj Kirtan.